If you've scrolled YouTube lately, you've probably seen titles like Europe Revolts Against FIFA or World Cup Crisis Deepens. Here's the truth. Those titles are exaggerated. No country has pulled out, no federation has boycotted, but there is something real happening behind the scenes of this World Cup, and it's actually more interesting than the clickbait versions. This is Soccer Decoded. Let's go through exactly what's actually going on with the real facts, no hysteria. Let's start with the most legitimate criticism, the tournament format itself. This is the first ever 48-team World Cup. That's 16 more teams than any previous tournament. Italy's football federation has publicly criticized this. Their concern isn't political, it's about quality. Their argument is that expanding the field this much brings in more lower-ranked teams, which they say lowers the overall standard of play across the group stage. It's a fair debate. More teams means more countries get the experience and the money that comes with a World Cup run. But it can also mean more mismatched group games early on. This is a real, ongoing conversation in European football, not a revolt. Just genuine disagreement about whether bigger is actually better for the sport. Now, the boycott talk, this is the part that's been most exaggerated in clickbait videos. Here's what actually happened. Heads of around 20 European football federations did discuss the possibility of a boycott. This came up after U.S. immigration and travel policy changes affected fans and officials from several countries trying to attend. A petition in the Netherlands gathered over 170,000 signatures calling for a boycott. Some individual fans have reportedly resold their tickets rather than travel. But, and this is important, no team has withdrawn. No federation has officially boycotted. According to experts who study this, the odds of an actual team boycott remain very low because players themselves want their shot at the World Cup. It would take an extraordinary situation for that to change. So the honest summary is, there's real frustration and real political pressure, but Europe Revolts is a much bigger headline than what's actually occurred so far. Several human rights organizations, including Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch, have raised concerns this year, specifically about immigration enforcement near World Cup venues in the United States. There were also reports of a labor dispute. Hospitality workers at one Los Angeles stadium voted to authorize a strike over working conditions just before a U.S. match, though a deal was reached before it actually happened. These are real, documented concerns from credible organizations. This isn't a fabricated controversy. It's genuinely part of the story of this tournament, and it's worth knowing about even if it's uncomfortable. This is the part that's actually affected the tournament logistically. Travel restrictions have made it harder for fans and even some team staff from certain countries to enter the U.S. for matches. Iran's team faced specific complications. Their players were ultimately granted visas, but a number of their coaching and support staff reportedly were not. This created real friction and real accusations of unfair treatment from Iranian officials. This is a genuinely unusual situation for a World Cup. Most tournaments don't involve this level of visa complexity for participating nations. It's a real story, separate from the boycott chatter. There's one more layer to this that doesn't get talked about enough: the relationship between the three host nations themselves. This is the first World Cup ever hosted by three countries together: the United States, Mexico, and Canada. When they originally agreed to co-host back in 2017, the political relationship between all three was very different than it is now. Trade disputes and tariff disagreements between the U.S. and its two co-hosts have added friction behind the scenes. It hasn't affected the actual football or the stadiums being ready. Security and logistics have reportedly stayed on track, with Mexico alone deploying around 100,000 troops for tournament security. But it's a reminder that hosting a World Cup across three nations means three different governments, three different political climates, and three sets of domestic pressures, all happening at the same time as the tournament itself. There's also been a smaller, more specific controversy that's been swirling in football media circles, involving a referee named Omar Artan. Without getting into unverified speculation, here's the factual version. Artan faced an accusation during the tournament related to a sign controversy, which drew significant attention online. He was subsequently cleared after review. This is worth mentioning because it shows how fast a small incident can balloon into a major story during a tournament this size. With this much global attention and this many cameras, with 104 matches and dozens of officials, the scrutiny on every decision is intense, and a cleared allegation can still spread online long after the clearing makes headlines. It's a good reminder to wait for the full picture before treating any single viral claim as confirmed fact, including, frankly, anything in this video. Always check the original reporting yourself. So to recap, no boycott has happened, no team has withdrawn, but there are real documented tensions around this tournament, format criticism from Italy, boycott discussions from European federations, human rights concerns from major organizations, real visa complications for some teams, and friction between the three host nations themselves. That's the accurate picture, not Europe revolts, just the facts. If you want soccer content that gives you the real story instead of rage-bait headlines, subscribe to Soccer Decoded. Drop a comment. Do you think the 48-team format is actually a problem, or is bigger better? I'll read everyone. See you in the next video.